transitioning is about, not necessarily seeing, not seeing white people regularly. And to me, I think that's about, it's about settler colonization, right? So we live in the United States, we're in a settler society where the white people came and they settled, they live here. So we are constantly in interaction with them, as opposed to the colonization that was happening on the continent, where it wasn't, so like in South Africa, yeah, it's settlers. In Zimbabwe, it's settler. But in, Kenya, it's not necessarily, right? And in, we can pick other countries, right? In Ghana. And so, but the colonial process still is there, but it's not, you don't have interaction with them. They just take the resources for their own countries, right? And so then that led me to the third piece, which it got me thinking about, because race, like you're right, race makes you think differently about who you are and about the world. And being in contact with the settlers makes you think differently about who you are and the world. And so I feel like it's, when African, continental, diasporic Africans come together, it's often about ideology. Who can get past those things? So for instance, like when Kwame Ture goes to Africa, he has the same Pan-African ideology as Kwame Nkrumah and Sekou Touré, and they were able to work together. Whereas like when Oprah goes to South Africa, she had like a very kind of like, American mindset of like, I'm gonna save these poor people, I'm going to, open these schools, and she didn't do very well. And so I'm thinking a lot of it has to do with ideology of how we understand those connections. So if you could speak to any of those.
Exactly. And actually, I was apologizing and saying maybe I should stop here, but I was going to go into Pan-Africanism, and I have it in my notes, but I was scared about time.
Good job, too.
Yeah.
Go ahead and
if
talk.
you guys had allowed me to just keep talking, I would have gone down. And that was really a major lesson I was going to emphasize. That if we go back in history, we talked about studying history. If we start really studying history, we will go, say, 100 years ago or a little more to those people who started Pan-Africanism and what they did and what they accomplished and the foundation they laid, which we are not following. In those days, the black people within Africa, the black people in the Caribbean, black people in the US, black people elsewhere, they would have meetings, they were promoting networking and solidarity meetings, Pan-Africanist congresses, one after another. There was one in Manchester, 1945. You had people there from South Africa, Kenyatta from Kenya, Du Bois from the US. They were there. And I think we have lost that structure and that momentum. When you think about, again, 100 years ago, 80 years ago, and the mindset they had in those days of connecting and supporting one another, supporting people in the black people in the United States who were fighting racism, supporting people in Africa who were fighting colonialism. And it's a pity, it's a shame that today, because we are not doing our homework, we end up with all these tensions that I was talking about. And I was going to give an example of why I say it's a shame. Right here in the Twin Cities, you read about the kids in the schools. Kids in the schools, African American kids versus African kids. And they are taunting each other, and they disrespecting each other,